Well, the wonderful Manfeild circuit and the motorsport gods have won the paper, scissors, rock competition and forced the weather gods to bring on a little bit of sunshine and remove any chances of rain for the second race of the third round of the V8 SuperTourers. What a wonderful grid we have there, and a very warm welcome to Paul Radisich. This will be an epic battle, and those two up front, Johnny Reid and Johnny McIntyre. I'm looking forward to the first corner.
Me too, Craig, and thank you for the welcome. Mark, same to you, and all the motor racing fans out there, good afternoon. Great to be with you.
Well, we can see Johnny Mac there, and he will have his game face on right now.
Mr. Consistency, he's so consistent. Doesn't matter what formula Johnny drives in, he's fast and consistent, smooth, and he's worked his way at it. You know, we've seen the last two rounds, he's been a little behind. Yes, he won one of the races there, but he's firmly at the front.
And Mark Pedersen, you know exactly what they'll be going through, and after the grid we can talk that through. But Johnny Reid and Johnny McIntyre, the two Johnnies, will lead the pack away, with Greg Murphy and Ant Pedersen taking up the second row.
We then have an all-Ford lineup: Eddie Bell and Craig Baird. This man that was struggling after race one. And then we've got Andy Knight, a man that's making a big recovery for the weekend. Next door to him, Steve Richards.
Yes, and Paul Manuel, who will be fairly disappointed after yesterday, and then Kane Scott beside him. Colin Corkery, Andre Heimgartner will make up near the back end, which will be completed by Richard Moore and Andy Booth. And so let's get back into this mindset, Mark. What is going through the heads of these guys? They've got warm-up laps to do, then a formation lap. What is their concentration level? Is it relaxed, or are they already on race mode?
Now, they'll have the game face on already. They'll be in the cars wondering what they can do to take some the battle back to Johnny Reid, because we saw after race one, he had an awful lot of car speed there. Greg Murphy, the man on board there in his own emissions, actually got passed by Johnny McIntyre, so he's got a bit of amends to make there. But look, looking further back, it's the Ant Pedersen, Eddie Bell that I'm looking forward to, because those guys had so much car speed, so much ground, and that's where the battle's going to be.
And Paul, your namesake here, Paul Manuel, he must be thinking some amazing things to go from the front row all the way back to where he is now.
I know, watching in the first race, he was right up the front end doing so well. Then he obviously come into troubles during the race and slipped further back. But he's got great pace, so he'll be coming through today as well.
Well, this man will be thinking, how on earth is he going to beat Johnny Reid into that first corner, that epic first corner? Too wide? Not sure.
Oh, look, it should be. Now it's dry, the track, you know, from race one, where we saw the first corner was particularly wet. Race two, it's dry. Yeah, you know, two for two round there. I'm sure Johnny will be looking that far ahead.
Look, got a couple of good stories to follow on from. I spoke to our mate Boothie about what happened in race one. He said, well, basically the car felt so embarrassed it had no car speed at the side of the stop. The reality was, it was a little bit of a wiring issue, which, you know, they rectified straight away.
Well, at least he found the kill switch now. I think was the answer to that. But
and so did the windscreen wiper, didn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Look, Boothie's going to, he's right at the back now, but let's fireworks for him to come through. He's going to move up.
Well, yeah, and another man, Paul Manuel, like we said, you know, he started in the front row in race one, got filtered back in his own emission. He said he just didn't know how to handle the conditions. Probably should have charged a bit harder than what he did, but he played a conservative role, so he's got a bit of work to do.
Yeah, yes he did. And this man there, Eddie Bell, we just saw briefly on the screen, his pace has suddenly come on after the first two rounds. Suddenly, yesterday, he was right on the tailpipe of other cars. So now he is fighting instead of chasing.
Yeah, look, I saw him after the race, and he looked like Donny Osmond. The smile was so big, all you could see was white enamel teeth.
Yeah, he's doing a very good job. We expect big things from him. Of course, he will be going off the third row in position number 5. And just marking on from Booth, I guess the positive he can take out from it is he did start in 11th and he finished last, so he didn't lose too many spots. Is that a positive?
Well, it depends how you look at it.
Yes, of course it is. So there he is, Eddie Bell, the number 69, and it was a pleasure to see his pace yesterday, right on the back of Stephen Richards for a lot of that race. And when you've got cars like this, Paul, with that much torque, that much horsepower, you make a little mistake and it's all over, and Eddie Bell was on it.
And they were treacherous conditions they were racing. It's really hard. The TV tends to hide a lot of that, but when you're in the car, man, and the wipers are on, it's very slippery. Those guys, you know, they're all on slicks yesterday, so you know, great credit. We didn't have anybody fall off, and they drove superbly.
Well, the track is slightly warmer. We're at 20 degrees at the moment, so hopefully that will make the brakes and tyres heat up a little bit quicker, and that's the work you can see from on board with Johnny Mac.
Yeah, and you can see the guys weaving there. I mean, the Hankook tyres, man, the drivers guys just love these tyres. They're consistent and they're quick, but they do take a little bit to warm up, and it's part of the reason why we're giving them 2 laps to warm the tyres up, and it just takes around about 3 or 4 to get put some good consistent heat into them. So hence the reason the guys are moving from left to right to generate that extra temperature.
Hey Paul, do you think we've seen a pattern starting to form here? Look, some of these guys have been very aggressive with the start sequence, warming the tyres up, and others have been quite conservative. Is that because some have engineered the cars to come on earlier in the race and some a bit later?
Well, exactly, and that's what it's about. But you'll see they're all moving a little bit, trying to get that left foot braking, keep the temperature in the brake into the tyre. And but of course they've all got the choice of different setups, and as the race go, you see some catching up and some dropping back.
Yeah, look, it doesn't matter how much they warm up the tyres and the brakes. As we all know at Manfeild, you filter in, don't you? You can be 3 or 4 abreast, but on that apex, there's still only one line.
Well, I was speaking to Richard Moore, and it's a good point you made there, Mark, because Richard, I asked him, are you going to set your car up for early in the race, being 25 laps, or later on? He said, well, no, we're just going to try and make it go right through, because really, he said, I'm still too new in motorsport. He said, I sit at the grid and look around me and see the names, and like, for in fact, Stephen Richards, and Richard Moore goes, I'm still in awe of who's on the circuit with me, so I'm not going to get too technical and try and make a fast car at the beginning or a fast car at the end. I just want something that'll race all day.
Yeah, and look, he'll start swapping a few wing mirrors shortly, and all that respect will go out the back door.
No, racing car drivers are never like that. You are all gentlemen. I know it so well. The brakes will be going on and off. The throttle will be going on and off as we look on board with Paul Manuel starting in 9th position. Yesterday, he was on, of course, the front row, and that must hurt. It really must, and he's got to do everything he can. You watch his feet work, we'll watch all sorts of things going on. The acceleration, the braking, and it all comes from the brakes, doesn't it, guys? I mean, that's where your main heat is generated, and that's where it'll be in throughout it. And they'll line up before the safety car, and we'll get underway. So the safety car is about to pull around, and the rest of the field will join up, and still the weaving is going on, boys. Those brakes really need to work the rubber.
Yeah, what was interesting there, guys, Greg Murphy made no attempt to be line astern. He went charging down the into the turn 1 there, right down on the inside of the track, almost dress rehearsing what's going to happen coming to turn 1.
Well, McIntyre, obviously, therefore, we can see he is not doing the braking. He's just swerving backwards and forwards.
Yeah, Johnny's just trying to generate as much temper as he can, because he knows being on the front row that his position is king, and you've got to be right up the front. If you get into that first corner faster, you've got a little bit more grip than the car beside you. You're going to stay in that position. So Johnny's his mindset is about, how am I going to jump the guy next to me? How am I going to get in front of Johnny, get first through that corner? And he's just trying to get as much temperature in the car as possible.
And so too will Stephen Richards, who we are on board with at the moment. And Stephen will come off row number 4 in position 8, which is only 1 ahead of where he started yesterday. So it wasn't great leaps and bounds for the boy, Paul Manuel. He's not doing too much weaving. He's probably more on the brakes.
He is, when he looks out the front of the car, he's got all the hard work to do, but I can't help but think we're going to see turn 1, 2 and 3 come into play here in the first lap. I think they're going to survive, but because race 2 is dry, it's going to allow them to drive all the way around, go right through Splash. So it's probably not going to be until at least half to 3/4 of the way around lap 1 we're going to see some line emerge.
All right, well, we're getting ready for formation now. This will be the point very soon when we will see the safety car peel off. The last of the weaving is underway, the last of the heavy braking, and it will be set, the drive line, by the man up front in number 2, Johnny Reid, for International Motorsport, and he will be right beside Johnny McIntyre. These two are only separated now by 20 points in the championship table, and they get ready, set for a rolling thunder. It's race 2, 25 laps. The pace is being set by Johnny Reid, and they are green and going. Andy Knight gives a little bit of a tap to Paul Manuel, and Andy boots in there. A big lock up from Johnny Mac, and he has gone right into the side of Johnny Reid. Now, who has gone up the inside? It is Greg Murphy, and Eddie Bell has knocked himself into position.
It's one of the under trays coming off from back of one of the cars here. Actually, Ed Peterson was almost the catalyst to all that, what we saw in the mid-pack. He's filled his way all the way back to mid-pack, but Greg Murphy, I have to say, he just bit his time, didn't he? Survived turn 1, now in a very strong position. Johnny Mack right down the inside of him saying that.
Wow, what a start. Fantastic first corner, wasn't it? These guys are just on it. So Eddie Bell, this is a great test for him.
Oh, certainly. That is exactly right. And there are two people I want to focus on amongst all the rest is Ant Pedersen and Eddie Bell. I want to see if Eddie can continue his form from yesterday, and same too with Ant Pedersen, who was going to be trying to tracking down his teammate Johnny Reid up front. Well, it's a good field, line astern. The only man looking to make a wide move is way back Andre Heimgartner, but here comes Greg Murphy, and he is twitching and diving as he looks all over the back of Johnny McIntyre. But Johnny Reid, once again, his car, his team, himself, they are all in synergy. There's a gelling there because look at the lead already.
It's good. Look, Johnny is, you know, we've seen his experience in A1 GP and all the formulas that he's done. He is a very quick driver, smooth, consistent. He's not going to get flustered by these two behind, but it's all about managing the tyres. So let's see what happens over the course of the next few laps.
Well, yes, indeed. We just saw an earlier image there of Greg Murphy running over the ripple strip after turn one. Yes, on the earlier lap, yes, he was going sideways, but now, no, he is going nice and straight. And that's the difference between the track temperature and the conditions between race one and race two. Amazing.
Yeah, we just saw a graphic demonstration, Paul, of what you said about the tyre management that early on. Here's Craig Beard and Pedersen having a very good tussle. These guys already swapped positions a couple of times this lap, but look, you have to say what might work in Johnny Reid's favour is Johnny McIntyre is coming under pressure from Greg Murphy. Look, we know Greg Murphy, four-time Bathurst winner. He knows how to put pressure on someone. So Johnny Mac, the man in the BP Ultimate car, he's got to be defensive and the aggressor at the same time. Not always easy, is it?
No, it's not. And look, Murph's he's got his hands full there. Eddie is all over him like a bad suit. So he's really going to have to get his head down and concentrate on trying to generate as much grip as he can.
And Johnny McIntyre, sorry, they pulled Johnny Mac, has got hard on the inside and he is overshot, braking, and has lost two positions just like that. Mark, what was he thinking?
Like, he just went in, the opportunity was there, he had to give it a try. And Pedersen sideways. Now, we know Craig Beard and a few other cars were caught up in this tussle, but look, Johnny McIntyre, he had to give it a try. He knew he was running out of corners in that lap to do it anyway, so can't take anything away from trying. But we're going to see how much car speed he has now, because he's got two very competitive competitors directly in front of him.
All right, well, we're going to try and have a look at that again. So he's gone down the inside and he hasn't yet braked. Now he kicks it in, really forces it. The natural switch over, of course, out on the ripple strip. Good night, nurse. Oh, that's where it was. And Pedersen getting caught up, like you said, with Beardo. So we just take an eye on their mark, and yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, Murph just stayed out of trouble, nice and easy.
Yeah, but the presence of mind of Johnny Reid, he probably realised that Johnny Mac was coming in from a long way behind, realised what was going to happen, and just gave enough room, didn't he? Didn't want to get it tied up, didn't encroach his space. Said, right, Johnny, see what happens in the middle of the corner.
Yeah, and looking also with Johnny, you know, the rule is the car in front has got to stay on the racing line, and the passing car's got to get offline to pass him. So a little bit of marbles there, and Johnny just went in a little too deep.
Well, I guess that little gap that Johnny Reid has taken out will now be removed. Once again, he just loves it, doesn't he? Leading a race and getting a safety car. It's yellow here, and well, he's not going to enjoy that.
No.
So here's the safety car leading the field, and it will close up once again on Johnny Reid. He's been there, done that at the first round at Hampton Downs. He doesn't like those safety cars.
Look, and every driver who's leading the race hates them, you know, with a passion. But that's just the way it goes, and they're going to clear some debris from the track, and they'll be on their way shortly.
Right, so a weaving manoeuvre. Wow, we saw that only a couple of laps ago to keep heat in those tyres. Well, that was to get heat in the tyres. Now they've got to try and keep it in there because it will decay away, won't it, boys? The temperature will disappear so quick.
The temperature just drops off instantly, so you know, hence the weaving again. And what you can't see, we can maybe get later to go to a pedal box movement with the guys on the feet, and you'll find that most will be running the left foot on the brake, just keeping the brake pad temperature up and the front tyre temperature up as well.
You know, one guy that'll be smiling with a safety car intervention is Andy Booth. Look, he started at the back. He's currently in 10th position, so he's got a lot of speed. They put a brand new set of tyres on for that car, so they're actually heading in the right direction.
All right, and it looks like we are getting ready because the line is astern. 1-on-1. We are going to have an overlap, but no passing until the control line. Safety car has peeled off. We are just waiting for Johnny Reid to make his move. The board is in, and we are restarting on race 2 at Manfeild. And there is a big haggle going in behind. Johnny Mac, left, right, tries the outside. Can he make it stick? He's got two guys inside of him, Eddie Bell and Murph in front, and Stephen Richards. Look where he is now, 5th position.
Yeah, look, he's just his racecraft is coming into play here, but these are very close quarters, aren't they, Paul? So you're going to take one of these guys to flutter or make one simple mistake, and the train is just going to fly by.
Yeah, I see Murph holding the inside line. As we said, really the racing line is the racing line, but I guess the guys will get away with a bit of blocking on that restart.
Just natural drifting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You boys. Stephen Richards making a great move. No, he's done very well to get up there, and there goes Johnny Mack on the inside of Eddie Bell. Let's hope there's no rubbing. Yes, there is. Eddie takes a little bit of a nudge, but he's going to hold it, and he's going to hold it sideways. At least he stayed on the track. Well, racing is rubbing.
Yeah, this is going to be the freight train I was referring to before. Stephen Richards is there, Andy Knight right behind him, so it's possible Johnny Mack's going to be filtered loose. Gains one, loses two.
What a fantastic drive we are seeing from Stephen Richards. Look at him go. Andy Knight, like you say, going in there as well. You open the door to these boys with that much horsepower and torque behind the wheel. It's good night. Johnny Reid will lead them through the lap with Murphy, Richards, Knight, McIntyre now down to 5th from 2nd position. Smells like Paul Manuel yesterday.
Now this is going to be a battle, guys. Johnny Reid versus our very own Greg Murphy as well. So Greg Murphy's been released. He doesn't have to be defensive. Kane Scott, that's going to bring another safety car come out. Is he going to get it out? Please get it out. He has, yep.
Yeah, that's his truck and Trans Am experience there, you know. Plenty of time in the gravel, no problem at all. That's good, because Johnny Reid and Greg Murphy do not want a safety car, because the lead they are pulling away from Andy Knight is going to benefit them immensely.
Yeah, good to see Andy get a bit of a break there too. He's going to, he's sort of been coming, but now he's holding third. If you can hold Stephen off, and great to see Stephen Richards finally starting to come to the front as well. And Stephen has been struggling over the last 2 rounds, but I thought he might have a crack there, but that is a brilliant, the sweeper at Manfeild. It was an awesome track there. 230k down the back straight into that sweeper, 2 different lines.
And those are the lines we are watching now. Stephen Richards decides to go on the outside. Andy Knight this time. Can he make it stick down the inside? We'll watch for tailpipes going all over the place. And he's stayed there. And he's held it. And we've got a spin. It's Eddie Bell. Oh. And Paul Manuel has gone into the front of him. Oh dear, oh dear. Paul Manuel just got left there. There was nowhere for him to go. And he had to smack into Eddie Bell. No choice. And that will be a disaster for both of those drivers. What a shame.
Look, the race to that point was just so close, wasn't it? That, this battle, we almost got Johnny Reid. Here we go, a replay. So look, just the concertina effect. Oh, it was actually Andy Booth and Eddie Bell in the same picture there. Like you say, Paul Manuel nowhere to go, but the side of Eddie.
Now we're watching.
Paul.
What was the reason? Now there was some reason that he got spun, and it wasn't Andre Heimgartner, so we're okay there.
Looked like Beto might have been into play on that one. It's a little hard to see.
Yes, and there might have been a little bit of Colin Corkery as well mixed up in that. Now that is going to affect the front end of Eddie Bell's car. There's no way that will be straight.
Took a direct hit right in the wheel, so there's a lot of suspension hangs around the wheel, of course, and Paul Manuel suffered a little bit of front aerodynamic work, so a bit of work to do. But this race is just teetering, isn't it? They're paying each other the compliment, giving each other racing room, but Stephen passes Andy passes him straight back again, and Johnny Mack is just saying, boys, can I please have a part of this?
Well, what he'll do now, won't he, because Johnny Mack is experienced, he'll sit back there and watch these two fight, wait for something wrong, and then jump in. It's simple, isn't it? It's simple logic. It's an easy game.
It's easy, that's right. Yeah, hold your line and block occasionally.
Oh, there we go. Right, rubbing again is Andy Knight. Now, there's still no yellow, even though Ed Pedersen is off the track. Eddie Bell, sorry, is off the track.
Guys, interesting there. Okay, Johnny McIntyre tried to make a pass on Andy Knight. There's actually a yellow flag and a car off in the background, so maybe that's why he got halfway and decided to let the position go instead of invoking the drive-through penalty.
So a localised yellow, not a full track yellow, and at the moment, Stephen Richards is doing what we expected him to do from round 1, and that is be at the pointy end of a race here in the V8 SuperTourers. Richards at the moment is in 4th position. Knight in 3rd, which is fantastic considering the, well, experience he has as such a young guy. He is currently way down in the field of the championship points. We didn't expect that. It's nice to see his pace up there at the moment with Johnny Reid and Greg Murphy saying, who? Those guys, they're way back. Who cares?
I think it's great for Andy Knight. Great experience to be stuck in the middle of Stephen Richards and McIntyre behind. And, if he can keep McIntyre behind, it's going to be good experience for Andy under these sorts of conditions.
Well, one of the things I was wondering was whether Andy Knight would be slowing down the likes of McIntyre, Corkery, Booth and Beard, but it actually seems like Stephen Richards This is the front of this train that has a little bit of lack of pace compared to Reid and Murphy. And actually it's Knight and McIntyre who can't seem to slip past Richards. So what does Knight and McIntyre have to do here, Mark?
Well, each of those guys, of course, they're the aggressor and the defender at the same time. Stephen Richards is actually in the box seat right now because he can drive a bit more of a natural racing line to some extent. But look, we've seen it time and time again. At the minute he decides to go a little bit higher up, breaks himself, Andy Knight's going to get him, Johnny Mack, and then the rest of the field as well. So look, he's got to be defensive, but he can't be too defensive, otherwise you just take all the speed out of the car.
Well, we'll see here if he's got any pace on the front straight. It's around 800 metres long, and that just gives some of these drivers time to crack into sixth gear. He thinks about going on the inside, but was smart enough just to back down a little bit. Forget about tapping. We've seen it already in this race and in earlier ones in the series where you give a little bit of a tap, someone goes around, and you suffer the penalty.
Yeah, we see, you know, McIntyre putting a lot of pressure on Andy Knight, and Stephen Richards is just edging away. So Andy's just got to keep a cool head, keep looking forward, not in the mirror, and pull that gap back into Stephen Richards.
Well, there is also the mentality, I guess, of Johnny Mack, who is so smart and so savvy that he could have simply been saying, Andy, I'm just here, I'm not going to pass you this lap, but keep looking in your rear vision mirror. You know, just psyching him out.
Yeah, I think that's probably working in Johnny Mack's mind, and it's probably why it's taken him 2 or 3 laps to really re-establish himself, as he's lost the under tray at the back of the car. But we know that actually has a little bit of aerodynamic influence, and here's Andy Booth. He has made his way up from 7th place currently in the back of the field.
Yeah, that was a great pass through the sweeper. And the sweepy, there's 2 lines there. You can go the top line, which is the fastest, or you cut in tight. And as we saw, Andy there took the lower option for the overtaking.
Colin Corkery there is starting to lose a bit of pace in 2 corners. He has lost 2 positions to Booth and to Beard. So he'll be wondering what's going on. Has he just got the wrong race line, or have they done a setup that isn't quite working for them?
Well, you know, we've been singing all the praises of Andy Knight, rightfully so, but let's take nothing away from Colin Corkery. He's currently in 7th place. It's his most competitive showing all year. And look at the company he's involved with.
That's a good point. You make a good point occasionally. That's nice work, Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not that often, but occasionally, right?
But it is why he's paid the big dollars. We're on lap 11 of 25, and we're looking on board International Motorsport and Pedersen as he tries to make his way through, and he has had what I would call a shocker so far, but things didn't quite go in his favour. So
it was probably the commentator's curse we put on him, because we said big things about him at the beginning of race 2. Looking forward to the battle of him and Eddie Bell making their way up. Of course, we saw that action unfold, but
yeah, we talked him up a bit too much, but now we're getting some action happening back there. Pedersen, Corkery, Heimgartner, they're all in the running. Beard, Booth, they're kind of muscled together. And there we go, Pedersen back on where he should be. Corkery once again losing another position. So we need to wonder what's going on with him and his car.
Oh, look, I think it's just racecraft, to be honest. He's in some pretty illustrious company around him, and you know, he's had a bit of a trying or challenging start to the championship, so he probably just wants to keep the thing clean, get a few race miles under him, but not tuck nothing away. When the opportunity's there, he's certainly going to pounce.
Oh, well, Pedersen has just been pounced by him. There we go. Good call from Colin Corkery to give a go, just as Mark mentioned that. Thanks, made Mark look great. And Ed Pedersen, look, we saw him go from 12th to 4th in the first race, and now we've seen him drop back down, but I'm expecting him to go. He's currently in 9, back up through it. He's only got to be, let's see, people like Beard, Booth, McIntyre. There should be plenty of chances for him to do that over 25 laps. And on race 2 of Manfeild, it is still Johnny Reid way out in front, but this pack is chasing him down. You've got Greg Murphy slotted in 2nd with Stephen Richards where we expected him to be, up the pointy end of the field. Andy Knight, a stunning drive from him to get back in the running of this series. And McIntyre now, instead of just fighting for positions 1, 2 and 3, is thinking, how on earth am I going to get right up there again to even start fighting it? He's now chasing.
Yeah, so look, Johnny Reid's just sort of smoothed out a bit. The last couple of laps, he's been about half a second slower than Murphy and Richards, so those guys are starting to close in on him. So maybe Johnny's having a little bit of a rest, or giving the tyres just a cool off for a couple of laps, just in case he can be there for these guys come on for another pounce.
Yeah, you're right, because it's all very well these guys chasing for 3 or 4 laps and throwing everything at him and taking that time around. But but when they get to him, Johnny's actually recovered. He's had 3 or 4 laps to cool off and gather his thoughts. He can then charge. These guys have probably burnt the car up getting to the back of him, so you know sometimes they can get close, but if they've got the car under them to the next 4 or 5 laps at the same speed, only time's going to tell.
Well, that can't stand for Murph, can he? He can't back down because he knows that Stephen Richards is right behind him, so he has no time. And also, if you think about the circuit, there are only 3 straights on it, the front, intermediate and back. They're only 800, 600 and 600 metres long, so you don't have time to rest. And Pedersen having a little look, maybe not so, maybe just telling Beto I'm here. Now he goes on the inside in turn 1 as they go into that intermediate section. It is a 600-metre burst of speed, and who is going to hold onto the brakes? They'll go down through the sweeper, take a nice left-hand curve to get on 600 metres on go. And Ant Pedersen has done a fantastic job. A lock-up from Beard as he thinks about the inside running. Looking back on him now, and Ant Pedersen got the good run. And what we were saying before, there is the intermediate section. There is no time to relax in the seat, is there? Well,
there's actually no time to relax in any part of this track for the simple reason being of what we see now. You come down the front straight, you're in the draft, you're deciding do I go left or right to turn 1. You're then charging 2, 3 and 4 into the head and deciding do I pass on the inside. Then you're going down the 2 short straights, so you're always setting the car up for the next part, looking for the pass, and that's why this track is so hard on the cars. The drivers never get a chance to recover.
Well, fantastic job by Ant Pedersen. We have talked him up this race, and so he should be, because he is proving again that he does have a racecraft, and he does have a car. Exclude that spin that he had, he could be right up there, but we're still looking there, and a little bit behind is Richard Moore and Colin Corkery have a go at Andre Heimgartner, 16 years old. You've got to remind yourself of that. 16 years old, Andre.
Yeah, and he's a young guy going places. We know that, you know, of course he's racing in Australia as well in the GT3 Championship, so we've got to keep reminding ourselves he's out in Formula Ford, and this is the first time he's been in a sedan car, so for him to be amongst all this illustrious company and doing a good job, I think the future is very bright for him.
Yeah, at 16, I mean, he's got a great, and he's great career in front of him. Still at school, of course, but it's great to see him competing not only here in our top formula here in New Zealand, but Australia in the Porsche Cup. So.
Oh, Johnny McIntyre. Sorry, guys, slowing. Johnny McIntyre. Whatever's happened here, it's Craig Beard. So, yeah. Wow, big changes. Isn't it amazing how quickly fortunes can change?
We're going to have a look at International Motorsport from behind as he looks, and there is Johnny Mac way back. Now, I did see a puff of smoke in an earlier shot, and I wondered who on earth up earlier had puffed up their tyres, and it looks like it was Johnny Mac, and that is costly.
Yeah, look, it just looks like, unless he's got a puncher, but it just looked like he ran wide and caught him out.
Colin Corkery saying, hello, nice to see you back here.
Yeah, but look, we know that car's got a lot more car speed, and it really didn't make any attempt to accelerate once it got back on, didn't he? So, well, that's going to continue, going through splash, a bit of retribution from turn 1.
Colin Corkery on the inside. He knows that Johnny Mac is there, and he knows all the experience that Johnny Mac has. Andre Heimgartner is saying, I'm here as well, fellas.
There's nothing worse when that happens, and you've got to get back into the mindset. You're trying to kick yourself, or particularly if it was an error or not. We're not sure at this stage, but you know, it just takes another half lap just to get back into the groove again.
Well, I can't remember. There's actually a lot of rubber on the front of Johnny Mac's car, and to be honest, I don't recall it being the early part of the race. It's certainly there now. I don't think it was contact. You'll see there on the right-hand side there. So, you know, maybe just Rubber's racing and got offline.
Well, he's done it on the back section of the Manfeild circuit, and they go into their final turn 7. But Colin Corkery is not going to let him take it without a fight. He closes the door,
so it's going to be big.
And he is gone on the final turn, and he has had a horrendous smash into the tyre wall. We've seen it before here at Manfeild. We never wish it upon anyone, and Colin Corkery was given a little touch by Andre Heimgartner. There was a little bit of moving left and right, and Colin Corkery has had the fatal smash into that tyre. His car will hurt.
Yeah, look, absolutely. The car's just done everything it was designed to do, okay? You'll see bits hanging off. That's what they're designed to do. It's designed to absorb much of the energy before it actually gets to the drive. Look, you can see him, you can see his head moving around in the cockpit there. It's going to take a few seconds for him to gather thoughts, but either way, still a very big hit.
Well, we'll take a look at that again, and Colin was moving over, so I cannot put any of that blame on Andre Heimgartner. Thank goodness for the tyres. That helped as well, and that has really messed up the car. But as you say, the safety cage, now he's moving, he's on the outside there. Andre Heimgartner's got the line on the inside. Andre did not move, Colin Corkery moved right.
Look, one of those racing incidents, I don't think you can portion blame to anybody. it's gone in directly backwards into the soft tyres, so there's a lot of energy to be absorbed. That's why everything's fallen off once again. So, you know, it's taken a big hit, but in reality it's quite dramatic.
Well, we can see the move there, Paul, and hey, look, I don't mean to bring up old memories, but you know what it's like.
Yeah, look, and that's, just thank God there's tyres there in front of that tyre wall, and let's hope Colin is okay. It's definitely going to have shaken him up, and the car's done its job.
So we're looking now at the safety crews doing their job so well. They were on there very quickly. The rest of the cars are lined up in behind, obviously with the red flag, and they'll be looking on, and the crowd thanks it.
Guys, isn't that just the best side of all? You see such a big impact and he gets out. Look, there's no doubt he's going to be a bit sore, but either way, congratulations to V8 SuperTourers, Paul, yourself, for whoever designed this car, because that was one of the biggest hits I've ever seen for him to walk away. Full credit.
Just a great sight to see Colin jump out of that car and walk away. And Paul Sepranich, the designer of the car, I'm sure looking on would be happy to know that the car stood up under those sorts of treacherous conditions.
And so too will the other drivers. They would have been lining up on the grid. They wouldn't have seen the incident, but now they've come around. They would have been told by their teams, big one, exiting the final turn. They've now queued up. They're looking there. They're watching on board through their windscreens and going, wow, okay, that would have hurt, but at least the car survived. So that will actually give them, in some way, a mental comfort.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right, it's a testament, but here we go, we've got a replay. You look, just a couple of young guys, just jostling for position, bit of contact made. And of course, we know after race one, with so much water on the ground, when the cars hit the grass, they just accelerate, and that's what we've seen. A little bit unruffled there by Johnny Mack coming off the curb, nothing in that at all. Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, yes, that is probably the best way to term it. Wrong place, wrong time. Yeah, okay, we look, and Andre, to me, if we watch there, he's held his line. Colin was the one who moved over. Now that is an unfortunate part, and yes, in racing you can move over at certain points on a racetrack. That time it just caught him out.
Paul, I can't recall, maybe at Pukekohe quite a few years ago, Craig Beard in the supercars, but to see a car take such a big direct hit, you know, the fuel cell and everything stayed intact. Like there's no fluids leaking, there's nothing, so everything's done its job, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. Look, and from that point of view, brilliant. And also impact side on helped. You know, there's two things: tyres on the concrete wall, side impact. It's normally when you go and no protection around the wall, and front end is when the big damage is done. But the car has stood up to it. You know, it's done its job. Collins walked away, and you know, we just hate to see these things happen.
Well, actually, everything's done its job. You know, you see the tyres littered around, but they're designed to do that. They're designed to absorb the energy and then break apart. You know, have to say full credit to the team, Manfeild, everybody, you know, because that could have been a lot worse.
It's kind of a simple lot of physics, isn't it? Put some rubber tyres there, and it can save your life. How easy is that? So we're looking now, and I know the fire crews were looking at the fuel cell, obviously, to see if there were any punctures, any chances of fuel spilling onto the track. A little bit of kitty litter has been laid down, and that's to be expected. You'll get some kind of spill, but we're not seeing masses of fuel lying on the track, and that is wonderful to see.
Yeah, look, let's take nothing away from this. Keep in mind, because of the rain we've had here, there'd be a lot of water thrown in there as well. They would have been in the tyres when it went in, so, you know, we don't know what it is, but either way, there's got 120 litres of fuel on board when they start the races. There's not 120 litres on the ground, so, you know, whatever it is, it's absolutely nothing. But look, they're going to clear this mess up, and we are going to continue racing.
And I'm sure the teams are talking to their drivers back there parked up, saying, yes, he is okay. Don't worry, fellas, because that's got to play on your mind, Paul.
Yeah, well, look, they could see Colin walking away, which it's always, from a driver point of view, that's the first thing that you ask. Is everything okay? Is everyone all right? They can see the damage on the car. You know, they know that was a big impact, and you know, the main concern, of course, is that the driver is okay.
Mark, the drivers who are parked there now, obviously, they know the fundamentals of motorsport. Their car is cooling down, the engine's cooling down, tyres, brakes, the whole. So they've got to go through that procedure again, yes. But how do you get your mindset back into race mode after seeing something like that? Is it instant and they're just so professional, bang, your mindset's on?
Yeah, definitely, you know, and especially when you look in the rear vision mirror and you see another 12 very angry looking blokes behind you trying to take that lead off you. That normally rectifies any, you know, hangover or residual ideas you've got about the accident, that too. But look, these guys would have taken a lot out of it. That it was a big hit. Collins just got up and walked out of the car. But at the end of the day, we've still got a lot of racing to go. Now, under the New Zealand red flag regulations, we actually go back to the results 2 laps beforehand. So there's a little bit of calculation to do to find out where everybody was. So see a little bit of jostling for positions yet. But either way, we've still got a lot of racing to go.
Yes, well, it is 16 laps of the 25 have been done, so take account into that.
Yeah, I mean, also we've got to take into consideration if the tyre wall's been damaged. Yes, we can put the tyres back, but if it's cracked the fence or the studs that are holding the fence there or whatever, it needs to be looked at now. So restarting the race will depend on if that tyre wall can be rebuilt and the fence can be put back in the position from a safety point of view.
Yeah, but there's one thing I know, no one will ever compromise on safety. So if there's any element of doubt at all, they'll do whatever they need to do and take it as long as they need to do to make sure that everything's back in proper operational order.
So the safety crews do their thing at the moment on the final turn, which is where Colin Corkery, as we can see here, has backed himself into the wall, the back right-hand corner, taking the full impact on that and spinning it into those tyre bundles. So all parts, car, safety wall, have done their bit to make sure that Colin can walk away from this big one, and this big one is going to put a lot of pressure on his team. I mean, they've had pressure enough just trying to get the pace out of this car, and he was fighting early on in race 2 here, and now got more pressure of rebuilding. But again, in talking about that, you both have spoken already about how this car has been built for safety, but it's also been built for quick repair.
Yeah, it has been, and that's exactly right. And a lot of these bits that you see on are actually just cosmetic bits. They've got the doors, the guards and everything. Look, until we get a good look and see if there's any structural damage in the car, you know, that's the stuff that takes a long time to repair. But the good thing is that these cars are built on a perfect platform. So all they'll do is they'll strip everything off it, send it back to wherever it goes. If it's going to get done locally here, cut the bits off, put new bits on, and they can turn around pretty quick. There's one thing I have to say about that accident. We're probably quite thankful it wasn't actually, you know, second, third and fourth place, because the way the car ricocheted back right into the middle of the track again, if there had been another 15 or 20 blokes coming after him, it might have been a slightly different result.
Just getting back to the damage of the car, that car will go back on the jig, and for instance the front end or the back end can be chopped away and a new front end be put on the car. The main structures stay on the jig, and that's how they've been designed for, you know, shall we not quick repair, but it can be repaired. So I'm sure we'll see that car reappear.
The car's definitely going to live another day, isn't it? And modern technology, you know, we've been fortunate enough to see it for all our exploits throughout the world. Honestly, what they can do now with a cutting wheel and a welder, and, you know, I don't mean to be detrimental, that's how easy it is. They just cut the bits off, they put it back on the jig, they put the new bits on, they get it all back together. It's on a perfect platform, so that car will come back just as good, if not better, than what it was.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt it's bent, but you know, it looks worse than what it is. You know, the impact of the tyre wall and so forth took a fair bit of energy out of it, and things are expected to shatter everywhere and take that impact.
Yeah, they always look a lot more worse than what they are, aren't they? Once again, going back to the energy, you have to absorb the energy before it gets to the guy on the screen, the driver, and the way to do that is you have bits fly off, you know, bits crumple, they have crumple zones built into the cars. The tyre barriers are designed that way as well, so they absorb the energy before they hit the concrete wall. So, you know, it's one of those things, probably looks very dramatic, and it is, but he'll come back.
As we can see in Johnny Mack's car here on the side, his head between the two side rests of the seat, and that is to keep your head straight on any impact and absorb the pressure on the head. So that's what those side bits are on the side of the side of the seat.
Yeah, and they've also got a window mesh there, although you can't see it on the screen because it's actually been closed down. But, you know, that's designed to stop the arms from going out if you have a big accident impact and the door happens to come open. There's also a device, you'll see there's a writing on the seatbelt there. Underneath that there's a Hans device, and what it does, it actually attaches to the back of the helmet, gets caught up in the seatbelts as well. So if you have a head-on accident, it stops the neck from going forward and just minimises the amount of whiplash injury.
There's also the structure that we can obviously see just to the right of the knee, and all of that cage around Greg Murphy, who is thinking, wow, that was a big one. There's no doubt he's thinking that. But you can see the whole structure around these guys, a complete safety cell.
Yeah, and you've hit the nail on the head. It's exactly what it is. It is a safety cell roll cage.
So we've got a safety cell with 4 wheels and an engine, basically.
Essentially, you're right.
Well, that's very good. Well, they're queued up. The teams are with them at the moment. They'll just be gently talking to them, maybe not even talking too much, just letting the drivers relax a little bit, calm, and keep their nerves down, keep their composure. There's no point talking up a race, is there, at this time?
No, and of course the drivers sitting there wondering if it's all going to restart.
All right, well, we're looking now at Well, Mr. Colin Corkery, and here we go.
Mate, I tell you what, that looked brutal, but you're standing here, you're okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm a bit shaky. The adrenaline's still pumping. I pretty much just held onto the belts and waited for it. I had no mirror. I couldn't see Andre there.
So you got Johnny Mack right beside you, watching him, and then suddenly that comes, and I suppose you became a passenger pretty quickly in that one.
Yeah, as soon as it went sideways, I just let go of the wheel. I knew I wasn't going to save it. I've seen people go here before, and I know it was going to be big, so I just held on.
But you're still walking, you've been given the all clear, and the car looks a bit sick, but it did its job looking after you.
Yeah, the car did a good job. I haven't really had a look, but...
it's not pretty, mate.
I don't want to have a look. I'm not sure how we're going to fix it, but I'm all right. Shoulder's a bit sore, but it should be okay.
Mate, in the end, that's what counts. You look after yourself, eh?
All right, thank you.
So Colin Corkery, yes, talking about the way that he handled himself as his car took over and he had no control. Let go of the steering wheel, hold on to the belts.
Well, that's the first rule. When you know you can't do anything, you can't you know, push the brakes or turn the wheel, or you're just a passenger. So you pull everything back, take your hands off the wheel, try and make yourself as small as possible, lift your feet off the pedals, and dare I say it, just wait for the ride to be over, and pretty much that's what Colin did.
Yeah, and also the main reason they do that is because if you're still holding on to the steering wheel like you do in a road car, you know, in the quarter to three position, if the wheel does happen to flick around, you know, all of a sudden, you can actually break your scaphoid or your thumbs quite easily. If you've got all your feet on the pedals as well, the forward momentum, if you do go forward, you know, it can actually do damage to your lower legs, Paul. You're probably testament to that at Bathurst a couple of years ago. So you do everything you can, just like Paul said, to make yourself as small as you can and give all your body parts just that much more room should they start, you know, needing to move.
Well, let's hope they don't move. That's what we don't want, is it? We don't want any of that happening. So they're just doing the final parts of sweeping the track. You can still see a little bit of residual kitty litter there. Actually, I don't know if that's from the crash, but it could be old paint. Whatever it is, it's not a problem because we're sure that they're focusing on that safety wall that you were talking about and making sure all the studs are in, the tyres are up, and that if, heaven forbid, it happens again, the drivers will once again be safe.
Yeah, and look, and, you know, the way that the track veers right there, what happened is it's a natural reaction. As Colin said, he didn't have a mirror, but it's a natural reaction to move across, you know, from the left to the right. And you know, if he had a mirror, he would have seen that that Andre was there, and he would have held the outside line. But it is a natural reaction to move across.
Yeah, there you see the resulting damage that's done to Colin Corkery's car, but just can't say enough. And there's a little bit of a leak there coming from one of the fuel pumps, but you know, as we all know, fellas, that's just nothing given what could have happened. But look, they're looking around the back of the car. A lot of damage, as we know. They'll get that car back in, they'll jack it up, they'll have a good look around it to see how much of the integrity of the roll cage is still in place, and I dare say it'll all be there. Look, the front of it,
That'll be all right.
Once again, everything was designed to do what it was meant to do.
Well, they looked at it and they wiggled the hose, so an impact like that and a hose came loose. That's all right.
That's right. Look, a lot of interested parties here because you know, this is the first time this has happened. So it will give a lot of people a lot of confidence that you know, the car can stand up to that sort of impact.
And as we can see from the shots, zero bending in that roll cage. Fantastic.
Oh, you've got a clever eye, very sharp eye.
So they roll it into the garage on the jacks. Not a pleasurable thing to be doing, but I'm sure the crew won't start packing up. They'll start pulling things apart and get into it.
Well, they've got a couple of hours for the next race. They could nearly get the front rebuilt anyway.
Well, why not? Maybe steal bits off other cars without them knowing. So at the moment, the officials will be going through to make sure that everyone will be in the right position for when the race is restarted, because it's sort of, we're into lap 16. Kane Scott obviously went off and went into the pits, so he was in the pits when that accident happened, and that was after his off earlier when he was in the kitty litter. So Kane Scott will be out there, and so too will Eddie Bell, starting from the pit row when the race gets underway. Crew's still talking. They're moving Johnny Mack up now, so I wonder if that's going to be the advantage for Johnny Mack.
Well, yeah, because of the rules of working here, they go back 2 laps from when the red flag was out, and of course Johnny Mack was still circulating, probably second or third at that place, because we saw him fall off after that. So that's why they're wheeling that car a bit further up the grid. But either way, the guys that might just work out in favour is Kane Scott, Eddie Bell, both in pit lane, both able to rejoin this race. Albeit
now
at the
talk
back.
me through that, because Eddie Bell will be a couple of laps down, so that's okay. But yes, Kane Scott will be okay, won't he? He'll be happy.
Well, yeah,
happy-ish.
Yeah, because you're restarting the race, whoever goes across the finish line first wins it. So if those guys get back on the back of the train, they can actually have a relatively strong position, and they can move back up the finishing order.
Well, all these jostling of positions are the things we're going to work out soon when the cars eventually get underway. I'm pretty sure we're close to it if they've decided to move Johnny Mack up manually. It means the officials are getting close to that. We saw them down there with their clipboards, obviously just making sure, counting back, looking back and going, well, you were here, 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 here. Oh, you get to move up, Johnny Mack. And their team will be going, awesome. And then we've got more Baird, Pedersen and Booth in front going, that just isn't right.
Yeah,
he comes back and then, I don't know, just pulling, maybe just rushed it to grab it, I think, maybe. Like he had on a little bit of oversteer, it's fucking, they go to, just slipped off.
I saw the second one happen. I just saw the cars go, oh, fuck, it's happening again.
Lucky it fires coming.
there's a top driver's feedback for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly what you guys want to hear, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's certain terminology. You hear it a lot in golf, and occasionally you can hear it in racing.
It's either or the arm or the arm movement, isn't it? So Murphy being very colourful as normal.
The interesting thing yesterday was Murph was saying during his practice sessions the car was edgy, and then it happened in race one. He couldn't get rid of that edginess, and it seems at the moment he's managed to cure that. So between practices early in the format of this round, then race one, and now race two, they've finally tweaked it. They've got it right because he's up there.
Yeah, that's right. And the adjustments are so small. It's very easy on these cars to be in and out of the window and it just keep moving on you. So, once you get it close, and it's just a little bit of tweaking this, tweaking that, a little bit of ride height, a little bit of damper, and not venturing too far away. But it is easy to miss the window of the opportunities of setting these cars.
Well, two of the drivers who obviously had that issue were both Andy Booth and Andre Heimgartner. They're partners in the AV8 team. Spoke with Andre, and he said, look, we had a dog of a car in race one.
That's a good way to...
Yeah, see, more communication from the drivers.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Their levels are fairly simple. We had a dog of a car. We had a similar setup to my teammate, and it did not work. We had it for...
That's right, you can blame him, right?
Yeah, he can blame his teammate. He said, we had a car set up what we think for a hot lap, as in a warm surface track and warm ambient temperature and all these little things that drivers and teams like to fudge over to people like us. And then he said, well, the second race, the track is warming up, so we're changing our settings dramatically, his term was, dramatically, and that's both cars.
Interesting, yeah. But the racing will not and cannot begin until all the safety measures are done and are back in place.
Well, there's no such thing as she'll be right.
Absolutely not. You cannot take that approach, and I know the professionalism of all the teams out there, and they appreciate the time that it takes to put the track back together so it's in A1 condition.
Safety car still waiting for the official order, and the teams are starting to walk away, so that is a good sign. That means that yes, they are happy with the track, yes, they are happy with the barrier wall, and yes, the drivers are happy to get underway. Johnny Reid, of course, will lead them off. Greg Murphy and Stephen Richards, who, well, can we talk that guy up anymore? Yesterday wasn't fantastic for him. He started back in 9th on the grid, and in practice he was having a bad day. Then earlier in his race, and I always mix up the practices, so you see so much of it because it was such a long session for them, but he wasn't too good in practice. But then in his race one, yes, he was doing. So he was 9th down in practice, which wasn't where he wanted to be. Race one, he ended up being in a similar position. I thought, oh, something's going on with this team and this car. He's not gelling. Now we see him in position 3.
Yeah, and I mean, Richo is he's a top driver, international, Bathurst winner, and he has struggled with his cars. And I'm not saying it's been Stephen getting just getting to know the cars, and he comes across for the weekend and jumps in and drives it. He's not with the cars during the week, so and we're starting now to see him understand them a little bit better, and we know he's well capable of being right up the front and winning these races.
That is actually a good point. Where you aren't with the cars all the time, how on earth can you gel so easily as someone who might have it in his workshop all the time? Say Andy Knight almost lives with his car as he is based at a racetrack. Johnny Mack is based at a racetrack.
That's right. It's 100% focus, and you know, Richo's racing Porsches in Australia and all the other things that he does with classic events. So you know, but he's you know, he's as I said before, he's a superb driver.
So here we go at Manfeild after the horrendous accident from Colin Corkery. It is race 2 about to restart of round 3 of the V8 SuperTourers. It was not what anyone wanted to see, but thankfully Colin Corkery was able to walk away from it. As the team's drivers get themselves set up, we take a look back at the horrendous smash, a big smash, Paul, and fantastic to see him walk away from it.
Yeah, look, it is. Any time you can walk away with a, you know, shunt like that is just brilliant. Great testament to the cars, and you know, great to see Colin walk away. And I saw the teams looking over the cars, taking great interest to, because it's the first time that we've had anything, you know, in that sort of vein.
Well, we saw the wing mirror was actually pointing outwards on the right-hand side of Colin Corkery. That was from an earlier rub, so he had, all he could see was sky, so he had no option. He moved naturally from left to right, didn't realise Andre was there, and that's when the touch happened.
Yeah, look, he got a little bit unruffled with Johnny Mack being there as well, and got on the curbs, and of course, it's just one of those things. You're in such close quarters, aren't they, that, you know, it just takes one little, you know, error of judgment, if we dare use that terminology, and we saw the results. But look, the main thing, as we've discussed before, he got up, he walked away.
When you come through that sweeper, you know, they're coming through there at about 180k, 160k, somewhere around there, so it's a very fast corner.
And as they get themselves line astern, one after the other, after a safety car restart, we will see more rolling thunder, an overtake, yes, but not a passing until the control line. And we are green and racing once more as a little bit of the dust gets blown up off the track from the earlier incident. Johnny Reid leads them, and Andy Knight tries to go down the inside of Greg Murphy. Stephen Richards has been left out, hung to dry, and he moves back a position, does he? He's going to try and hold on to it, and he manages to do so. But Andy Knight, what a wonderful move from the youngster as he goes inboard and on the back of Greg Murphy.
Oh, look, a brilliant move, and you know, cold tyres to make that manoeuvre. Well done, Andy. Great job.
Yeah, and Paul, you hit the nail on the head. These guys, the cars are cool. Like, he is charging. He just threw everything at that. Probably grabbed hold of a certain part of anatomy. He said, out the window, I don't need that anymore. I'm going to show these guys what I've got. That's what we're seeing. He's probably making a pass for second.
Andy Knight does have a look at it, and we're looking at Johnny Mack, and he's taken Greg Murphy on the inside. Has Andy Knight. Johnny Mack's looking ahead going, hang on a second, I'm meant to be up there. Give me some room. Stephen Richards says, no thank you. And now Greg Murphy looks down the inside, backs off a little bit, but we can go too wide around here. Quite nicely. Here's a little nudge. Yes, you can have it back, but I'm not just going to hand it to you.
Yeah, Murph, he made his car very, very wide there. I think two Commodores wide.
Andy Knight once more down the inside, heavy on the brakes, and Stephen Richards says, this one's for me. Greg, move out of my way. I want the podium. I deserve it. I've earned it. We have been in here for 3 rounds and I'm still not there.
Got Andy Knight, he's just driving. Oh, in the background, Boothie and McIntyre. I thought McIntyre was going to spear off. Yellow flag being waved in the background there. These guys,
they're going off, aren't they? They're going off.
We sort of had them down to we race 3. The light switch come on. That's what we're seeing here.
A combination of just getting the tyres up to grip and everybody trying to take advantage of that one spot. So brilliant stuff.
Well, it's brains on, boys. We've got to keep yourselves on the track as Johnny Mack looks ahead. At the moment, he's down in 5th position. And his teammate, Stephen Richards, is ahead of him. Johnny Mack's gone sideways all over the place. Andy Booth makes a run down the inside, and so too does the man we talked up, Ant Pedersen. And Johnny Mack is getting left behind. His own fault. He's pushing too hard. Ant Pedersen says hello to Andy Booth. I'll take another spot. I can go 12 to 4 in a race, and now I can do it again.
Yeah, look, Booth, he's just ruffled there, and Johnny McIntyre down the inside. The Craig Baird car will probably try to filter through as well, but you have to, oh, look at Boothie. He's got no respect. He doesn't care. He's just cutting him off, saying, this is my position. Work away around the boys.
An absolute lack of respect. I love the way you put that. So now Andy Booth has switched from the left to the right. He takes the inside through what they call the splash, and he ducks on there. Johnny Mack tries to make a move as well because Ant Pedersen is getting splashed all over the place. They look towards that wonderful left-hander and take the intermediate straight, and it is Ant Pedersen with the better line out of there. Johnny Mack will get hung to dry if he stays there. Boothie's going to go through. We're on Johnny Mack now, and I'm wondering if there's going to be more cutting. Andy Booth, left to right hard. Mark Pedersen, what on earth are they thinking?
Well, I don't think they're thinking much other than trying to win the race at the moment. Look, Andy Booth may come into the investigation because, you know, some of his moves are, you know, probably left a lot to be desired or interpreted by the judicial system, but guys, this is just this competitiveness. You get your feathers ruffled, you go back 4 or 5 places and you have a bit of a charge. But look, looking further ahead, Johnny Reid, he must be smiling looking at the recognition of everything, seeing all this unfold.
Yeah, he's got the advantage of that clean air, and he's just been gone, isn't he? The guys have left the rest of the guys to fight it out. Just looking at Johnny Mack's car, Johnny, it's having obviously a little bit of rear oversteer problems. The car's very, very twitchy, and once again made the mistake onto the back straight like he did earlier in the race, and he's paid the ultimate prize.
Well, it cost him before the accident from Colin Corkery, didn't he? He locked up his brakes going in too hot into a corner, or maybe his car wasn't set up exactly the way he wanted it, and it cost him immensely.
Actually, you might have hit the nail on the head there. He was suffering, wasn't he, before that, so maybe that's what we've seen as well. But, guys, you have to say Andy Knight, he just got in there, he pounced, he let everybody know his intentions, currently in second place with a 4-time Bathurst winner and a 2-time Bathurst winner behind him.
Well, it was a nice move he made on Murph, and it's nice of him to knock on the door and say, yes, I can drive.
Murph who, mate? I'm here to wrestle feathers. I'm Andy Knight.
Fantastic. Johnny Reid out the front, ahead of Andy Knight, Greg Murphy, Stephen Richards, Booth, Pedersen, and there we saw McIntyre. But that is the man that we are focusing on at the moment, Andy Knight. He had a couple of shockers, and of course at Ruapuna he went up in flames, but he managed to get out of his car and put the grass out behind him. And there are some flames out of the exhaust pipe, and those are the only ones that Andy Knight really wants to see.
I'm going to make a prediction here. I think Andy Knight's going to get on the back of Johnny Reid. For the simple reason being, his car looks so settled at this stage of the race. You know, he's coming out of the corners, he's hitting the apexes, the car's not moving at all. He's just got good drive going, so he's got a bit of momentum at the moment.
Yeah, well, he's you know, sort of running a tenth or two quicker than Reid at the moment. So you might be right, Mark.
So do we have a car then that's been set up for late race speed? However, we've got that interlude of red flag, which would have cooled it down again.
Yeah, you're right. If they engineered it for the later part of the race, and it's not showing now because essentially we're at a restarted race, there would have been a little bit of residual tyre temperature and everything left in it, but he's just driving the thing on ability at the moment.
Look, his car did, you just wonder, because straight out of the restart his car was quick, so I wonder if it's the other way around. Maybe he might start to suffer in the next lap or two.
And Stephen Richards, of course, was so nicely situated up ahead of Murphy, or up ahead of the guys behind him, Booth, Pedersen and Knight, but he lost that position into 4th. But at the moment it's still Reid, Knight, Murphy and Richards, with Booth down in 5th place. We haven't heard anything yet as to whether he will get in trouble for some of his manoeuvres earlier on after that restart. We'll see, there's Greg Murphy, and now he is back on song. Now it looks like his tyres have come up to speed, and now it looks like Andy Knight is going to have what possibly is the biggest fight he has ever had in a car.
Yeah, you're right, he's a couple of tenths up on both Reid and Knight, and there's, as I said before, you know, I think because Knight was so quick on the restart, his tyres coming quicker, but he is going to pay the price possibly now. But you know, a bit of strategy here and a bit of keeping his head clean. He should be okay.
What does Andy Knight do now, Mark? What would you do?
I'd get the rear vision mirror and tear it off and throw it over my shoulder and not look at it ever again, because he's just got to look ahead. You know, he's got to know where Greg is, but also be defensive. But he's got a bit of car speed, but look, there's going to be no pressure like the pressure he's under at the moment with a 4 times Bathurst winner behind him, because if any man can make his car wide and try to put a challenge on Andy Knight, we know it's Greg.
Well, an interesting little stat that's popped into my head, and occasionally that happens. These front 3 runners have all won a New Zealand Grand Prix. Not all at this track, but they've all won it. So that's a little bit of pedigree. So Andy Knight does have trophies in the cabinet. It's that experience that he's missing out on compared to Murphy.
I think isn't there 36 champions in the series? I forgot the number was, but everybody's very experienced here.
So we're looking on board of Stephen Richards, the 5.56, and there is Greg Murphy looking back. saying, yes, you can be there if you want, but you are not taking my spot because soon I will be in second position. That's what's going through his head.
Yeah, unfortunately for Andy Knight, Greg's actually just got that, 5 or 6 car length advantage over Stephen Richards, so he can drive his natural lines without being defensive, which is probably allowing him to get on the back of Andy Knight and put him under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, Andy's just settling back down. He's picked the pace up. He's picked up those 2 tenths that he was down before, and as you can see, he's just edging away a little bit from Greg. Stephen's coming alive too.
Well, that was the moment I was just going to talk about, because while Andy Knight is defending, while Greg Murphy is attacking, Stephen Richards is knocking on the door saying, hello, fellas, I am here. You've let me catch up because of all your mucking around and playing. If you two will go ahead and race, you'll be fine. But Stephen Richards now is saying this could be my position.
I mean, we've seen a seesaw, and it's all about tyre. It's all about that tyre generating the grip. And as some go over, they come back, and as others get better, they go forward. And it's just a seesawing effect that we see.
It really is. So Andy Knight only has a few more corners to take some glorious honours, but Greg Murphy is right there, and he knows it too. Stephen Richards doing what he does so well. It's rubbing Richards, having a go at Greg Murphy. Meanwhile, Murph tries to get Andy Knight under pressure and make him think about going wide. Will he take the switch? Stephen Richards here, Mark, needs to be very careful. One more corner.
Yeah, look, Andy Knight, we're going to see him go into the screen all the way to the left now. He's going to make Greg go the hard way around the outside. 2 corners to go. Can he do it for second place?
Well, Johnny Reid is fairly clearly going to take the checkered flag, and he will do it. Andy Knight comes through. Johnny Reid, yes, will be on the podium once more, but Andy Knight has taken second ahead of Greg Murphy, and Stephen Richards race 2 at Manfeild in the 3rd round of the V8 Super Tourers. How good must he be feeling right now?
Oh, I'm just shaking my head in disbelief. I can't believe we just saw all that unfold.
So much going on, wasn't there? You know, we see the biggest shunt ever, and some of the top racing that this category can dish out. I mean, just awesome.
Johnny Reid just doing a warm down. He'll be yahooing in his headset, no doubt about it. And the results are fairly clear. Johnny Reid, first position. Andy Knight, and then Greg Murphy. What a wonderful hold off there. Richards and Booth will take out the top 5. And Pedersen, Johnny Mack languishing down in 7th, with Andre Heimgartner, Craig Baird and Kane Scott taking the 10. Then it is Richard Moore, Eddie Bell, and of course Colin Corkery and Paul Manuel not doing so well at all.